Bonjour à tous, nous sommes en compagnie de Robben qui va vous expliquer comment avec une gamme majeure et 3 triades, on arrive à tout déchirer. Voilà. Speaking of what you just played, can you explain what you try to focus on when you play on your own that kind of blues?
Yeah, well, I'm never super comfortable playing by myself. You know, I've kind of grew up playing with bands, and I'm much more comfortable with some accompaniment. You know, but you know, playing in this way, what I like to kind of focus on the most is just this sense of time, you know, and a steady propulsion, you know. So I'm kind of riding on the beat, and from that point on, I just keep my fingers moving. So, I mean, this is all pentatonic. Pretty much. You can just play pentatonic. Like right there, I just played a pentatonic scale, right? It's the beat, it's the feeling that kind of gives it meaning, you know? So I think, you know, people often focus on notes and technique and how do you play it and how do you keep the strings from ringing and, you know, all these things. But if you get into the feeling of the thing, you know, you have a much more, a much stronger relationship to what you're playing. You've got energy that's being invested in the notes, you know. That kind of a thing right there. I got that, picked that up from Lightnin' Hopkins. Where you just have your thumb doing the bass note, you know. But again, it's like if you don't have the sense of time, you know, the energy of the pulse, it's going to be hard for you to make any music at all, you know. because you're going to be thinking about fingers and strings, you know. But if you have this, the energy of the pulse of the music, you can hit anything. I'm using one finger. Pentatonic. I think John Lee Hooker and a lot of those guys, that's all they did. They only used two fingers. And it just molds to your hand, right? The pentatonic scale, open strings. So I think probably anybody watching this can do that. Pentatonic scale. But can you do that? You got to get into the energy of it, you know. It's like surfing. It's very much like surfing, you know. The energy is the wave. Mm-hmm. But you'll never learn to surf if you don't catch the wave, you know. Yeah. It's not going to happen. You got to catch the wave first. Now, what do I do, you know?
What you mean is that an E played on an E bass just has more meaning when it's in the right time.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. So timing first.
Timing and energy.
Energy. Yeah.
Pulse. You know, timing. Yeah. But when you talk about energy and pulse, it's a little bit more like heartbeat, you know?
Yeah.
You got to get close to it, you know?
That's not intellectual.
It is not intellectual. It's very, very visceral, very tactile, very... Mm-hmm.
The sound of the D minor. Well, you use some F chords, and can you talk just a little bit about this?
You mean like the superimposition of triad over? Yeah. Well, of course, this is basically modal playing, right? And the scale that runs through D minor is actually the G major scale, right? Oops, excuse me. Is it C?
Yes.
C major scale. So you have all of the triads in C that you can play over the D minor vamp. So I can play, which is C triad and F. F. So I demonstrate often when I teach I just call it G, C, and F, you know. These are basically the dominant triads in the key of C. G, C, F. And you just learn to play them all over the guitar. G, C, F, G, C, F, G, C, F, G, C, F, G, C, F. And just knowing those, thinking of those three triads over D minor, is what I think everybody is using to play rhythm guitar, you know. Whenever you're playing behind somebody, those three dominant chords will work, right? Over C major, D minor, E minor, F. Yeah. Yeah. So it's modal playing. And you know, I'm not a guy who's worked out a lot of patterns and a lot of riffs. I can play a scale okay. Triads. And so I use very basic information, you know, basically the major scale and the triads within the major scale. And I try to play something to me that sounds like a melody, you know. I'm not playing a lot of alternate notes. You know, altered chords, you know, in a one-chord vamp like that.
Yeah, and with an altered chord or maybe a dominant chord, you would be using exactly the same that you mean major scales and and pentatonic.
Yeah, well, certainly the pentatonic is always there.
Yeah, and triads.
Triads, major scale, you know. So. You know, it's a friend of mine used to say there's a lot of music to be played in the key of C, you know. So if you have a piano and you just run your fingers up and down the white keys, it's the C major scale, right, of course. And if you just play a C major triad like that, C, E, G, and then you just go like this, you can play just about every song ever written. When people kind of really get that, you know, you realize that just a major scale and the basic triads of a major scale, there's a lot of music is covered in that. And modal playing is that, you know. It's like, of course, as you know, like the song So What? It's in the key of D minor, right? Yeah, so what we were just doing. Well, that's C major. That's all it is. So basically I just try to play melodies, you know, out of the scale, you know. It's all white keys of the piano. Just, you know, just pick them. Just go like this. Anything you want, you know. So you know, once you really get an understanding of that, it frees you up a lot, and that's really the way I play.
So you never use this kind of scale, superlocrian or things like this. You don't.
What is the superlocrian?
Oh, it's this. It's an altered. You play this on. It sounds just, but it's not a thing you used to. You're on a F chord.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that for me, that's an altered chord and an altered scale, right? So yeah, if you say what key.
It's an F, but whatever.
Yeah, so that's like F flat 13.
Yeah.
So that's a 5-5-1.
Yeah.
So an altered 5 chord, yes, you would use that scale.
Yeah, but in a tonal context.
Well, I mean, like for what we were just doing in D minor, C major scale,
Yeah.
you know? And I might play, you know, the altered 5 chord for D minor would be A,
Yeah.
and, you know, you would maybe play it, but you're playing a 5-1
Yeah.
when you do that, right?
So that is not modal.
So there's something. So that's really a 5-1.
Yeah.
And sometimes, you know, I will, as will everyone else, you know, you just go ahead and superimpose the 5 chord and go to the 1,
Yeah.
you know, for 2 beats or something,
Yeah.
or 4 beats, yeah. But that is an altered 5 chord, you know. You're putting it on top of the D minor vamp.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. But it may happen.
It may happen. It could happen, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And last thing, we're going to play maybe some kind of a solo or other simple chord progression. You know, just the two of us. It's just
Just the two of us?
Yes, just something.
Okay.
C. Let's D minor. D minor.
Okay, let's do that again. Okay.
Just this.
Okay. Let's do it.
And then afterwards you just explain your solutions and it may be exactly the same.
It might.
Yeah.
Okay.
Whatever.
We'll try it. Okay. 3, 4. You have really good time. You have a good feel, man.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, so I get it, you know. I used to play music like that.
Yeah.
I hardly ever do anymore. But one thing about a chord progression like that, you can play E minor pentatonic through the whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is a kind of a relief, you know. It can be a relief, right? Beyond that, basically, the altered 5 chord, right? Which is in E minor. That's your second chord there. So that's super Locrian, is that what you called it?
Yeah. Not that used to that scale.
So C major 7. So actually I would play a G major scale over that, right? That's C major 7. The sound is not that. It's not... You really don't want to hear F in that. But it is a C major chord, so you'd think. But because it's going from here to here to here, the F sharp is a better note. And this is the G major scale. And that is a mode. Do you know the name of that mode?
Lydian.
Lydian? Okay, good. So, yeah, over that C major 7, I'd be playing an F sharp, so it would be G major scale. And in here is that B chord. It would be the scale we were just talking about. E minor. D minor to G to C major. Back to C major, B, E minor. So this is a 2-5-1 from D minor to G to C major 7. So that scale is C major. So I think a lot of people are afraid to just play a scale. So that was just the C major scale. If you play it with a sense of it being music, it is music, you know? And generally, again, that's kind of about the pulse and the, you know, you're riding the wave, you know? You play that scale, it has energy in it. And you're writing it, you know, it isn't so much playing it. You kind of, there's this quality of, you're kind of writing it, but you're playing it, but you're also writing it. You know, you really have to put the notes and the energy of your own body, you know, emotion, psychic body or whatever. You have to put these things together. And that kind of requires a leap of faith, you know. It's like kind of an act of bravery, you know. I'm going to play that scale. I'm not going to think about it. I'm going to write it. I'm going to live that scale as I'm playing it, you know. So this is what makes the difference. The simplest of things, just playing a major scale, it can be beautiful, you know. It can be absolutely beautiful. So I think people need to be not so afraid to use very simple tools, you know, and make music from these very simple things, you know.
That's good.
Okay.
If you want just to add a few words about your record.
I have a new record coming out called Bringing It Back Home. And it's an interesting record for me, as well as I think most people who hear it. It's a little different from what I've been doing for the last several years, which has been primarily you know, a guitar trio, kind of a rock and blues trio. This has a Hammond B3 organ on it, very prominently. Larry Golding's great B3 player. Drums is Harvey Mason, great jazz drummer, but also just a great all-around drummer. And the bass player is a man named David Pilch, and it's upright bass, acoustic bass. Me on guitar, excuse me, and trombone. And the music has this very kind of warm, homey feeling to it, and kind of a New Orleans vibe in the record. And it has a quality of kind of, you know, taking off your shoes and sitting in the living room and enjoying the music in a very kind of relaxed and kind of homey way, you know, but with a good vibe. So I'm really proud of this record. It's my favorite thing I've done in a long time, and in some ways, to me, it's kind of like the current version of the Talk to Your Daughter album. Completely different, and yet for me, there's very much the same kind of feeling and quality of the enjoyment of making the music. So I hope you enjoy it.